The rain poured relentlessly over the sleepy town of Willow Springs, turning the cracked asphalt into shimmering rivers of silver. Inside a small, cluttered garage at the edge of town, Ethan Carter wiped the sweat and grease from his forehead, his worn hands trembling from another long, unpaid day. The smell of motor oil mixed with rainwater seeped into every corner of the shop, and the flickering, fluorescent light above buzzed, like a reminder that the electricity bill was due again. Ethan sighed heavily and glanced at the faded photo on his workbench. His late father, who had taught him everything about cars and hard work. "Don't give up, son," his father's words echoed in his mind. But times were hard. Business had slowed, debts were piling up, and his dreams of expanding the garage had shrunk into a desperate struggle to keep the doors open. Just as he reached for the light switch to close for the night, a loud, uneven rumble echoed from outside. Headlights pierced the rain as a motorcycle limped into the driveway, coughing and sputtering like it was on its last breath. Ethan squinted through the downpour and saw a figure dismount, tall, slim, wrapped in a soaked leather jacket, and pulling off a helmet to reveal long auburn hair plastered to her cheeks. She called out over the storm, her voice soft but steady. "My bike just died on me a few miles back. Can you help?" Ethan hurried over, his boots splashing in the puddles. "You're lucky you made it this far," he said, taking a quick look under the seat. "Engines overheated. Could be your ignition coil, maybe even the fuel injector." She watched him work, curious and slightly amused by how focused he was. Despite his tired eyes and grease-streaked face, there was a calm determination in his movements, like fixing broken things gave him purpose. "You work alone?" she asked. "Yeah," he muttered without looking up. "Guess it's easier that way." "Machines don't lie or walk out on you." The woman tilted her head, intrigued by his quiet depth. "You've got a good heart," she said softly. "I could tell." Ethan paused for a moment, meeting her emerald green eyes. Something about her felt different, mysterious, almost out of place. He didn't know it yet, but this stranger stranded in the rain would soon turn his simple world upside down. By the time the storm eased into a soft drizzle, the garage had grown warmer, the kind of warmth that came not from heaters, but from quiet company. Ethan handed the mysterious biker a steaming cup of coffee, his rough fingers brushing against hers for a fleeting moment. She smiled faintly, wrapping her cold hands around the cup as if it were the only warmth in the world. "Thanks," she said softly, her voice carrying the faintest tremor. "You're not like most mechanics I've met." Ethan chuckled, leaning against his workbench. "What's that supposed to mean?" She took a sip, her green eyes glimmering beneath the hanging light. "Most people rush through everything. You actually care about what you're fixing. You listen to the engine like it's alive." Ethan shrugged, embarrassed by the compliment. "Guess I've spent too many nights talking to machines. They're easier to understand than people." That made her laugh, a genuine, melodic sound that echoed through the quiet garage. "Maybe you just haven't met the right people yet." For a few seconds, neither spoke. The air felt charged, like the world had slowed to let their hearts catch up. Outside, rain tapped softly on the tin roof, creating a rhythm that blended perfectly with their silence. What about you?" Ethan asked finally. "A woman like you riding alone through a storm this bad? You running from something?" Her gaze dropped to the floor, a flicker of sadness passing across her face. "Maybe," she admitted. "Or maybe I'm just trying to find something real." Ethan nodded slowly. The world doesn't make that easy anymore. As he went back to polishing the last of her bike's chrome, she couldn't take her eyes off him. The way he moved, careful, methodical, with quiet strength, had fascinated her. There was no arrogance, no pretense, just honesty. When he finished, he looked up with a tired smile. "All done." "She's good to go." Lena, though she hadn't told him her real name, yet hesitated before putting her helmet back on. "If I came back tomorrow," she asked softly, "could you teach me a bit about fixing bikes?" Ethan grinned. "You? With those polished boots?" She laughed. "You'll be surprised what I can handle." And in that moment, as thunder rumbled far away, something more powerful than fate sparked quietly between them. Morning sunlight spilled through the dusty windows of Ethan's garage, casting golden streaks across the worn concrete floor. The familiar hum of tools and the faint scent of oil filled the air. For the third day in a row, Lena showed up, this time without the leather jacket, her auburn hair tied back and a streak of grease already on her cheek from an earlier attempt to fix her bike. Ethan grinned when he saw her struggling with a wrench twice the size of her hand. "Careful," he teased. "That's not a hairbrush, you know." She laughed, setting the wrench down with a playful glare. "I'll get the hang of it. You just wait." Their days had grown into a comfortable rhythm, laughter mixed with lessons. Silence broken only by the buzz of the engine and the sound of hearts. Learning to trust again. But beneath that comfort, Lena carried a secret that pressed heavier with each passing moment. Every time she looked at Ethan, at his honesty, his hard work, his quiet pride, the truth clawed at her conscience. He didn't know she was Elena Moore, heiress to Moore Tech Industries, one of the world's richest companies. To him, she was just a wandering biker with messy hair and a curious mind. As they worked side by side on a carburetor that afternoon, Ethan glanced up. "You know," he said, wiping his hands. "You don't talk much about where you're from." Lena froze for a moment, forcing a small smile. "Maybe I'm just tired of being someone people expect me to be," she said quietly. "Maybe I just want to be seen for me." Ethan leaned against the bench, studying her face. "Then, whoever you are, you've got nothing to prove here. I don't care if you're rich, poor, or something in between. You're good company." Her chest tightened. If only you knew, she thought. Just then her phone buzzed on the workbench. The sleek, expensive device looked wildly out of place among the old tools and bolts. Ethan noticed but said nothing as she silenced the call, guilt flickering in her eyes. The hum of the fan filled the silence. Both of them knew, even if they didn't say it, that something was changing. And soon the truth would no longer stay hidden. A week later, the morning air felt strangely heavy around Ethan's small garage. The quiet hum of life he had grown used to, the soft clatter of tools, the smell of grease. And Lena's laughter echoing through the space was missing. She hadn't shown up that morning or the night before. He tried to shake it off, focusing on the engine before him, but his thoughts kept drifting back to her. Had the woman who'd arrived in the rain and somehow repaired more than just his broken days, just as he was closing for the evening. The sound of an expensive car engine cut through the stillness. Ethan turned toward the entrance and froze. A sleek black limousine rolled to a stop outside. 2 men in suits stepped out, opening the door for a woman in a white dress that shimmered like moonlight. It was her, but not his Lena. This woman looked like someone from another world. Poised, graceful, confident. "Ethan," she said, her voice trembling despite her elegant composure. "I owe you the truth." He frowned, confusion clouding his face. "Lena?" She took a deep breath. "My real name is Elena Moore. I'm the owner of Moore Tech Industries." The words hit him like a wrench to the chest. "You mean you're the Moore Tech? The billionaire?" She nodded, eyes glistening. "I didn't mean to deceive you. I was tired of being surrounded by people who wanted me for my money. I wanted to meet someone real, someone honest. And I did." Ethan stared at her for a long moment, silent. Then he looked away, rubbing his palms against his work apron. "So all this time, you were testing me?" "No," she said, stepping closer. "I was finding myself. And you helped me do that." From her purse, she pulled out a folded envelope and handed it to him. Inside was a deed to a brand new, fully equipped auto shop in his name. "Consider it a thank you," she whispered. "Not for fixing my bike, but for fixing my heart." Ethan smiled faintly, emotion shining in his weary eyes. "Yet you have to do that." "I wanted to," she said softly. As she turned to leave, he called out, "Next time your bike breaks down, don't wait for a storm." She laughed, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Next time, I won't need an excuse." And with that, she rode away, the rain beginning to fall again, washing the past clean, and leaving behind the promise of something beautifully new.